Hello, welcome to this short video, Nutritional Labelling. My name's Andy Bowles and I'm a food lawyer. Now this is the 33rd in a series of 100 videos that I'm recording on UK food law topics. Now you may be watching this as part of our online training service, which is available through subscription. If you're doing that, you can download the presentation, you can watch a webinar which is about an hour long on this topic, but you'll also be able to have access to a whole range of additional resources. But if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you're more than welcome. Now in this video, I'm talking about nutritional labelling of pre-packed foods. What do I mean by a pre-packed food? Well, I'm talking about foods such as tinned foods, packet foods, the sort of things you buy in your supermarket, like a tin of baked beans or a packet of cornflakes. If you're placing foods of that nature on the market that packaging needs to be physically opened by a consumer to get at the food, then you'll need to have a nutritional table headed up nutritional information. And in that table, you need to have a declaration of at least the mandatory information. Now, the mandatory information is the minimum that you must have, and that includes an energy declaration, followed by the amounts of fat, including saturates, carbohydrates, including sugars, protein, and salt. Those are your minimum, so you don't have to do any more than that if you don't want to, but the law provides for supplementary information to be added if you want. So you can include, in addition to your fat declaration, your monounsaturates and your polyunsaturates. You can include, as part of your carbohydrate declaration, polyols and starch, and you can include fibre and specified vitamins and minerals. Now, in terms of vitamins and minerals, there are additional rules here, and I will run through some of them in a moment. But one of the rules is that if you refer to a vitamin and mineral on your label somewhere, so for example, you might say you're placing on the market fruit juice, and you might say contains vitamin C. Once you refer to the vitamin, then it must be declared in your nutritional label. The same with minerals. But there are additional rules to that, so we'll come on in a moment. Now, the nutritional information must be declared in the correct order using the correct units. It must be declared as a minimum per 100 mils or 100 grams, depending on whether your food is a liquid or solid, obviously. So your declaration should be of these. Here, obviously, in this table, if you can see it behind me, it includes both the mandatory and the supplementary information together. So you don't have to have the supplementary, obviously, that's up to you whether you do that or not, but it must be declared per 100 grams per 100 mils. So we have the energy value, kilojoules and kilocalories. We then have the fat, of which saturates, and then if you want, the polyunsaturates and the monounsaturates, which should be monounsaturates first, then polyunsaturates, and then carbohydrate, of sugars, followed by, if you want, the polyols and the starch, and then fibre, protein, salt, and then vitamins and minerals. Vitamin and minerals, you need to go to a separate table to find further information. You can only include vitamins and minerals that are included within the reference table of the regulations. So if they're not listed in that table, you can't include them. You must use the units that are prescribed for within the regulations as well for vitamins and minerals, and they will vary. But you can only declare a vitamin and mineral in your nutritional table if they are present in significant amounts in your food. So what's a significant amount? Well, in order to declare a vitamin or mineral in your food, there must be at least 15% of the vitamin or mineral of the nutrient reference value. Or if it's a beverage, it can be 7.5% of the nutrient reference value. If you have that present, then you can declare the vitamin or mineral. So what's a nutrient reference value? Well, that's provided for within the regulations, the Food Information for Consumers regulation. And what it does, it lists out the various vitamins and minerals, and beside the name of the vitamin and mineral, you'll have the units that it must be declared in, and then you'll have the NRV, the nutrient reference value. So if we look at the top one there, vitamin A must be declared in micrograms. The nutrient reference value is 800. So in order to be able to declare that in your menu, or sorry, in your label, you need to have at least 15% of 800 micrograms present per 100 grams or 100 ml of your food. So I should have worked this out earlier, but that's about what? Is that 120 micrograms per 100 grams or 100 mils of food? If you've got that present, that's a significant amount of vitamin A, and you can include it within your nutritional information. If you had, for example, 80 milligrams, or sorry, 80 micrograms of vitamin A per 100 grams or 100 mils of your food, that's only 10% of the NRV, and you would not be able to include that in your nutritional information unless, of course, it's a beverage, so a drink that you're marketing, in which case you only need 7.5% to be a significant amount. Now, I'm using the term nutrient reference value, but of course the Department of Health in England recommend that that term is not used in a nutritional table itself. Instead, you should be using the term reference intake, not NRV. So it should be an RI, not NRV, in your table, and you should be declared as a percentage reference intake or percentage RI, and an indication that RI equals reference intake. So you need to put that information on your label. Now, there are different ways of calculating the nutritional information. One is by analysis of the food. So you actually take your food, send it off to a public analyst, for example, a laboratory, and they will determine the nutrient levels. Now, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that you're sampling the food appropriately. If you have a food that is indeed it's not homogeneous, so it's something like a soup or something like a coleslaw or something where you've got lots of different ingredients present, then you need to make sure, if you're going to take a sample of that, that the sample is very representative. So there are difficulties in using analysis to provide accurate nutritional information. You can use calculations from known or average values of ingredients. So if you've got several ingredients in your food, you can take the nutritional information from those ingredients and actually include them in the food. Or you can use generally accepted data. So that would be, for example, in the UK, from McCants and Widdowson, a very common data set published by our colleagues here at the Norwich Research Park, where we're based. In fact, the people who produced the McCants and Widdowson data set for nutritional information in the UK, the main reference point, also provide a service for labelling where they can actually provide you with nutritional information for your label. As long as you send them your recipe, they'll calculate it for you. That's available at nutritionalinformationsolutions.com. This is not sponsored by them, I'm not taking any money from them, but they are a very good service, and they're based at the Norwich Research Park where we're based as well. So the website is behind me. If you need to get some nutritional information for your product, then these are probably the guys to go to. So there are exemptions from nutritional information labelling. You don't have to include it if you're using reusable glass bottles or if you've got alcoholic drinks with more than 1.2% alcohol level. But there are a whole list of foods that are exempt from nutritional labelling, including unprocessed products that are only a single ingredient, or water, salt, herbs and spices, tabletop sweeteners, things like coffee and tea, fermented vinegars, things like chewing gums, but also food in packaging where the container, the largest surface area of which is less than 25 square centimetres. I also mentioned earlier on that the nutrient information should be in a table form, but it doesn't have to be in a table form. If you've got a smaller label, you can actually just put it in a text form, if you like. As long as it's still in the same correct order and using all the criteria I've referred to earlier, then that's fine. There are other exemptions, and one is particularly relevant for maybe things like farm shops, farmers markets, that sort of thing, where food, including handcrafted food, directly supplied by the manufacturer of small quantities of products to the final consumer, or to local retail establishments directly supplying the final consumer, then they're not required to use nutritional labelling. Now, I've been looking at labels for many, many, many years in an enforcement capacity, but also in a consultancy basis. And I just thought it might be helpful to go through some of the most common errors so you can try and avoid them. Most schoolboy error, the easiest error to avoid, but actually one of the most common errors you'll find, is putting the nutrients in the wrong order in the table. I put the table up earlier on. It is a legal requirement. They're expressed in that order and you don't jumble them up. Using nutrients that are not in the legislation. You know, things like omega-3, for example, is not in the table. It's not provided for. So you can't put it in the nutritional information table. You can put it directly under, and what many manufacturers do is they have the nutritional table and directly under they'll put other nutrients or something. There's nothing wrong with declaring, say, omega-3 content if you want, but it's not a prescribed nutrient, so it can't be in the nutritional information table. Not expressing the nutritional information per 100 grams or 100 ml. You can, in addition to that, express your nutrition information, you know, in portion sizes, for example. So there are additional issues, but the general requirement is it must be per 100 grams or 100 ml as a basis. Using incorrect units. This is particularly relevant for your vitamins and minerals, which people often get very wrong. Incorrect portion size. If you choose to use a portion size in addition to your statutory declaration, then make sure the portion size is correct and that the number of portions are included on the label as well. Using incorrect terms. We're talking about energy, not calories, and we're talking about salt, not sodium. So you need to make sure that the right terminology is used as expressed in the table within the Food Information for Consumers Regulation. Insignificant amounts of vitamins and minerals. Remember, you have the nutrient reference value tables of all your vitamins and minerals, and you must have at least 15% in most foods of their NRV in order to include it in the nutritional information table. For beverages, it's 7.5%. If you don't have enough vitamin and mineral, then you cannot declare it in your nutritional information table, and you can't refer to it on your label, because as soon as you refer to something on your label, it must have a declaration in the nutrition information table, and if you don't have enough of it, you can't. So significant amounts are important. Unsubstantiated calculations. I referred to analysis, and there are some difficulties with that. I refer to just using information provided by ingredients, but also maybe using McCanson-Widdowson or Nutritional Information Solutions or someone like that. But if you just wing it and just guess, then you are going to get yourself in trouble. So never just estimate the likely content. Make sure your nutrition information is correct. There are tolerances that the enforcement officers will look at. So there is actually quite, I suppose quite wide tolerances that are permitted on expression of nutrition information, but you should be trying your best to achieve accuracy. Many consumers, for example diabetics, will be referring to the carbohydrate content in order to determine their insulin dose. So many consumers will rely on nutritional information, not just as a fancy or just for a bit of information, but for actual medical reasons. So please do make sure your nutrition information is as accurate as it can be. And then we've got the reference intakes wrongly declared, either wrongly calculated or wrongly declared on the label. One of the most common issues I find is that people will use maybe nutritional tables from other countries, particularly the US, which present their information in a very different way. Anyway, there we are. That's just a quick review of nutritional information labelling. That was just one of 100 videos that I'm doing on UK food law topics. So hopefully you'll join me on one of the next ones. Thanks for watching. Cheers.